We do anticipate a fairly significant amount of money if we are successful at Race to the Top. We also have been very fortunate to receive from both the Cleveland and Gunn Foundation a significant amount of dollars that we are using to drive the transformational agenda. And we're currently working with our corporate community to identify additional support to drive the academic transformation plan. So the district is very much engaged in the Race to the Top. Members of my staff work very closely with the State Department in the resubmission of the most recent application. And in my personal opinion, I think the reform and academic transformation work that we're doing here in Cleveland is among the best nationwide. And we will stand our reform plan up against any in terms of the breadth and depth of its research, the revolutionary nature of its design, and the outcome that we have been talking about in terms of student growth. So the short answer is that the district is very much engaged in Race to the Top. It is a critical component of our funding element for the transformation plan. We've raised to this point, or been able to receive to this point, over $30 million towards the $70 million that we need to do the 3-year work that we're planning around the academic transformation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Sanders.
Ms. Johnson?
Students are at the center of everything that we do, and they need to be involved in this whole process. So my question is there a student advisory group that meets with you on a regular basis, at least monthly? And if so, how are those students selected?
Thank you for the question. I do meet throughout the course of the year, not on a monthly basis, Ms. Johnson, with students, because I would concur that having student reaction and student participation in any work that we're doing in the school is important. I can say that over the course of the summer, thanks to the help of a number of creative staff members, we worked very closely with students, particularly those who are coming from schools that we closed into schools that there'll be their new schools starting next Thursday. We took a number of students, about 70 of them, to camp, high school students from both closed and new schools, to get folks to learning to work together so they'll know folks on the first day of school, and did a lot of leadership training and did a lot of work around the K-8 pieces. But there is, I do not have a regular group of students that we meet with now. Probably 3-4 times a year we'll call a number of students down, and we typically allow the principals and the faculty members to select students in the class, and we typically inform them and try to seek their input in terms of what it is that we're doing. We're very much acceptable and approving of integration of student input, and students are certainly impacted. And one of the observations that I've been sharing with folks, that the transformation plan will certainly impact, thousands of students this school year starting next Thursday. The real reality is that we have about a third of our students, as you know, Ms. Johnson, who actually move throughout the course of the year. So the actual transformation in terms of the physical movement of numbers is dramatically less, but of course the difference is that it's something that we have imposing upon students across the community. We do have the Talk to the CEO email communication where students write and tell me a number of different things, particularly when certain teachers are giving them too much homework or something of that nature. But we do solicit and certainly embrace student input, and probably something we could do on a regular basis that would be helpful. I like the suggestion.
Dr. Sanders, the economic challenges which face the Cleveland School District are certainly enormous. You put it very succinctly when you said we're constantly challenged to balance our books. My question relates to the millions of dollars which each year the state of Ohio allocates to charter schools, basically private schools. To what extent do you feel that those dollars, instead of going to charter schools, should go directly to school districts such as the Cleveland School District? Thank you for your
question. You are correct to the sense that balancing our budget is an ongoing and difficult challenge. I was looking at some media reports in a local paper from the early 90s just yesterday. And what was interesting about the observations, Mayor, that you simply could have replaced one name in one slot of the paragraph with my name or your name, and the context of the challenge would indeed, it was the same conversation that we've been having for several decades now. So there is a need to not only introduce new ideas, but find ways to fund them. Now, in terms of charter schools are actually public schools that students have, all students have access to attend. So I want to be clear that there are students who will be going to charter schools next Thursday. These are public school kids, and it's not a private school. Although many of the charters and certainly other public schools certainly want to give the impression that it is a private school because it is a better appeal to parents at times. Now, in terms of the actual funding, I do believe that one set of funding in our state is beneficial, and that if we were able to have a set of funds that were corporately used for educating children in Ohio, I think that would be beneficial. It is important to note from just a very technical perspective that the funds that charter schools receive do come through the district and certainly back out to the charters for their support. The state of Ohio did put in a mechanism that would essentially allow the districts to be held harmless to a degree in terms of the overall financial condition of the district. But the argument that you're making is essentially, does it make sense to use all state funds for public school students in the state of Ohio? And I would contend that the answer is yes. One more note about charters. I think that it's important that all of our students have options. And we need to be able to compete against any charter school, any private school. We believe, and I believe, that we have the ability and the competence and the skill to do just that. And so when parents have become significant educational consumers in the 21st century. No longer, now, when I went to school, when Margot and I went to school, we basically went to the school where we lived. If you lived on such and such address, then you went to the neighborhood school. Now parents say to me all the time, Dr. Sanders, I want to go to one of your good schools. So they've already decided that there are some variables at play in terms of the quality of the education, the kind of teachers that are there, the way the school is run, the principal's ability to lead, et cetera, are variables that impact their decision making. And so all parents, regardless of their income level, are much more conscientious now about where their child goes and the kind of education that they're going to receive. So we as a school district must be competitive enough and willing to put our stuff on the line that says we can outperform anyone if we decide to do so. Now, in Cleveland, Ohio, we've proven we have the ability to do that. The question for us is not, do we have the ability? The question for us is, how do we take it to scale? So how do we take all our successful schools and multiply them across the district in a rapid sort of rate that we can raise student achievement and serve the highest number of students that we can serve? And so this, under the transformation plan, the district has a strategy for working with charters, for actually sponsoring charters. The board has just sponsored a couple of charters. I know that can be controversial, but I've come to the conclusion that if I'm the CEO of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, that every one of these children belong to me. I've come to that conclusion. And I also have come to the conclusion that in the morning, in some families, the brother gets up and he goes this way to the public school, and in the same family, the sister gets up and goes that way to the charter schools. And so we have to find a way to embrace our children to ultimately raise the standard of student performance.